welcome to this video where I'm here to talk about George Reeves. George Reeves is the actor that played Superman in the original television series The Adventures of Superman, although his first time playing Superman was in Superman and the Mole Men. Superman and the Mole Men was this theatrical. It could be considered a special. It's like sometimes considered a movie. It's actually only about an hour long, but it was George Reeves' first time playing Superman, and it was kind of like, to test out to see if a TV show would be good, I think, and it was successful. So then they made a TV show, and George Reeves played Superman in the Adventures of Superman. I believe it lasted 6 seasons. George Reeves, sadly, he did not have a very good life, at least towards the end of his life, and his life kind of ended too short. And hearing the details and the story about how George Reeves died, it's one of the few celebrity deaths, along with Adam West, that made me tear up. And I think the purpose of me wanting to make this video is because of how George Reeves died and the tragic story, and all the rumors about did he end his own life, or was he shot, or all that stuff. It's very sad, and I think people probably, when they think of George Reeves, they think of that. But I think after all this time, I think George Reeves should be remembered for the positive impact that he left on the world as Superman. He wasn't, just an actor playing a role. Superman's considered one of the most inspiring fictional icons of all time, and George Reeves really captured the heart of Superman, really made Superman this role model that kids could look up to and get inspired by and feel comfort by, and all that. And I think he really did a wonderful job. And I think, when so many actors have now played Superman, it's easy to think of George Reeves as, just that, just one actor that played Superman in that old show. But I think he deserves to be remembered for the first television Superman, and a Superman for an entire generation. It wasn't until 1978, when Christopher Reeve played him, that we had a new Superman. So for around 20 years, George Reeves, he was Superman. There was no other. And at least between George Reeves and Christopher Reeve, the first sort of live action Superman was Kirk Alyn in a couple of movie serials. But after George Reeves, there was this long 20-year break where there were no other Supermen, and so George Reeves really got to be a lot of generation, a lot of people's Superman, and be this role model that people can look up to and get inspired by. And I think after all these years and all these different takes on Superman, I think George Reeves is still one of the better ones. You could look back at the show and say it's not perfect, especially because they didn't have any villains from the comics, not even Lex Luthor. I know a lot of the villains couldn't be on there because, budgets and technology at the time, but, you could easily have Lex Luthor. But, so though maybe certain aspects of the show don't hold up, but one aspect of the show that absolutely holds up without question is its take on Superman. George Reeves did such a good job capturing the heart, the spirit, the upliftingness, the cheerfulness, the optimism, maybe a little bit of humor of Superman. And because of that, his version still holds up today and is one of the more accurate takes on Superman, and one of the better ones. And I think that George Reeves shouldn't just be remembered for the tragic instances of his death. I think he should be remembered for the positive impact that he left on the world, and because that positive impact, over 60 years later, I feel like his take on Superman still leaves a positive impact on the world, on the Superman franchise, on Superman fans, and on so many generations now. So I think when you think of George Reeves, he shouldn't just be remembered as, oh, he just played this guy in tights and, in this old TV show and everything. I think he should be remembered for the positive impact that he left on the world and the optimism of Superman, the heart that he captured, and what a great job he did. And he was often. Some people think like, oh, he didn't really care too much about playing Superman smoked. He cared about being a good role model for kids. He didn't just phone it in. He really did care about being a good role model, and so I think he should be remembered for the positive impact that he left on the world. And like I said, over 6 decades later, I believe his Superman, his acting, and who he was as a person still leaves a positive impact on the world, and that should not be forgotten ever.